Oh, okay. Yep, that sounds about right. So, all righty. Oh, well, nice to say hello and know that we are getting out as far as Fiji so far. So that is good. And we'll see how the morning goes. Thanks for saying hello. We always enjoy talking to people in the islands because at least we know that the radio is working, Diego. And good morning to Marina. All right, folks, good morning to everybody else that's out there. We might as well get started. This is a Gold Harbour Radio, ZMH 286, to be precise and make sure that we are following the rules of identification. We are Patricia and David, and we are on air every morning at this time except for Sundays. So Sunday is a day off tomorrow, and the weather is not going to be as good tomorrow as it is at the moment. I'm told by the boss here that it's going to be wet and miserable, but at the moment it is dry and a very balmy 20 degrees. Hard to believe. I must get out last year's book and find out what it was, but I'm sure it wasn't 20 degrees. And that's because you folk that are already up in the islands are sending us some lovely warm northerlies, just about 4 knots of northerly. Can't actually see much moving, but it is 4 knots according to the meter, and a steady 1017 on the bar. We've got a pretty solid, well, about 90%, not all that thick strata Q at the moment. I haven't had a look at what's going on coming at us later, but at the moment we'll just enjoy a fairly balmy morning. A lot of clouds, says David. Oh, yes, I am looking at a lot of cloud coming towards us. So you folk up there in the Whangarei Basin and Opua will be getting it before we do. But, yes, a lot of cloud coming our way. So I guess it will be a fairly quiet weekend while you all get ready for departure next week. I wouldn't count on that, says David. God, what a depressing person to be beside me at the moment. All right, let's have a look at who's out there and another adventure. They want to go up to the volcano tonight, so you can have a look at the Tanna volcano and tell me whether it's going to be a good trip or not. At the moment, it's north-northeast there, 6 knots, 40% cloud cover with a slight northerly swell. And I've just been talking to Malolo up there, Diego and Marina on Mestletoy, and they have got 15 knots of east-northeast. Oh, sounds pretty nice again. 25 degrees, I missed that. So sounds like Fiji is not too bad, just a little bit on the breezy side. And Pilgrim actually did some sailing, so well, they've got a Ford engine, so they haven't had to use that. But anyway, 5 to 10% light scattered cloud, 15 knots of pretty much out of the east, so they're doing pretty well with an ETA of Monday. They're currently at 2330 and 17822 east for those that might be around them. So not too bad at all. So that's a bit better than, but 5.5 knots. Boy, they must have moved yesterday. All right, folks, we are going to have a little bit of a change of format on Saturdays. We've decided that
we're getting old.
Oh, David says we're getting old. We don't tell them that. We are going to have a much more relaxed Saturday net. We are going to just do a little bit of weather, not very much in the way of detail. And just if you need anything, you call in or let us know by email what you specifically want. But otherwise, we're going to see if you are, in fact, out there on a Saturday. We're going to not get up at 5 o'clock. We're going to get up at 6 o'clock and just basically have a much more relaxed net and only answer what you really wanted to hear about. So that's what we'll do in future on a Saturday. In fact, we'll start that today. If you need anything, you just call in. Otherwise, we'll keep it very, very short. All right, a little bit of news for everybody. I spent most of yesterday in communication with Tonga Customs and finally got the picture on what is happening in Tonga. As you know, we had a lot of trouble last year because everybody could well, everybody arrives in Tonga. If you are a New Zealander or Australian, you get a 1 month permit to stay as crew. If you are from the European Union, however, you get 90 days. I guess they must spend more money in Tonga than we do. But anyway, after that, for immigration, you can get extensions. And in fact, you can get extensions up to 6 months. The only snag in this whole process has been that your boat only got 4 months, which of course was a little bit difficult when the 4 months came to an end, because Customs and Revenue were absolutely adamant that that was the end of your stay in Tonga, because the boat had to leave. Well, to and fro, to and fro, to and fro. I finally yesterday got a hold of a man who's now my best friend. And we have got a clear picture on what is happening in Tonga if you want to have your boat stay. And it can be done. So I have put all of the details on the website. No problem at all there. So if you have a look, basically 2 weeks before the end of your stay in Tonga, for the boat that is, you need to send a letter to the CEO of the Customs and Revenue, and I've put the details of the address and everything. You just give your boat name and the crew. You need to sign that application, have it signed by a customs officer either in Vavau or Nuku'alofa. Get it signed by one of the boarding officers there, and then you what you do is you send that off to Nuku'alofa, to the CEO. You will hear back within 1 week. Now the extension must be used within the year, of course, and it can't be for more than a year, including the 4 months that you've already had. But that is the process, and I have put the information all on the website. So make sure you follow that, because otherwise you will be out of Tonga. The boat must leave in 4 months unless you have gone through that process. So that's at least a step up from where we were. And we actually had a question come in this morning about how to advise Tonga, the pre-notification for Tonga. They do require that, although I have to say that they haven't really enforced it, but who knows, they might. If you want to send in your pre-notification, and it only has to be done 24 hours before you arrive, I would say the best email to use would be info@customs.gov.to, but I will actually confirm that with my new friend in the Ministry of Revenue and Customs early next week, but that's an email to use. So there you have it. We will keep following up. At the moment, I haven't, for that extension, they've only given me a fax number and a snail mail address. I will be following up to see whether we can get a email address out of them. I have actually put the email address of the person I have been dealing with on the website. So have a look at Flotsam or on it, and just if you need to stay in Tonga for the full season, as we have done several times, it's quite pleasant, especially if you're a first-time cruiser. Tonga is a very safe place to be for the season. It's up there in Vavau. So if you need to stay for the full time, you will need to take those steps to keep the boat there. All right, any questions, you know where to get hold of us. ghradio@extra.co.nz. That's all on the website too. All right, and just to keep David working while I give a little bit of other news, somebody is looking for a window to New Caledonia. I know you talked about Fiji and Tonga and so on about Thursday, but you might like to just have a look at getting to New Cal as well. Okay, let's move on to just a little bit of news because we've got not much time left. There has been amazingly bad weather in southeast Australia. I must give Sergio on Sperari a call. Sperari, you've probably recognise that name from, well, the older cruisers will. And they have wintered in Tasmania, and they are staying in Tasmania another year. They absolutely love it. But rain has really battered Tasmania, and Victoria even has had snow and freezing winds the last couple of days. Melbourne had gusts up to 93 kilometres an hour, which I guess by our standards is not all that strong, but it certainly is for Melbourne. And there has been a lot of floodwaters in Tasmania. Alice Springs, believe it or not, overnight sunk to freezing. Can you imagine that at this time of the year? So, yeah, a real cold spell in Australia. David might comment on why that is. Hang on a minute, I have to change the microphone to the other hand. All right, so we're looking at Miami now, and this was actually quite interesting to me. The FCC have fined a guy in Miami. His name was Adrian Abramovich. Sounds very Russian, doesn't it? But anyway, they have fined him $120 million for a massive robocall operation. I didn't know what a robocall was, but we certainly get them. These are these robotic calls that you get right when you're trying to prepare dinner, with a sort of there's always a delay, so you know to put the phone down rather quickly, but it's one of those automated calls that they're phony calls to trick you into assuming that they're real, and make you listen to and answer, in fact, various advertising messages. Well, in America, they actually take this pretty seriously. I wish they would here. The FCC listened to 80,000 of these. He actually admitted to 96 million of them. Can you imagine? 96 million. And so they have fined him $120 million. I guess he must have made an awful lot of money from it. So it shows you how people are a little bit on the gullible side. I know when they come in here, you know as soon as you get that hesitation to put the phone down. We are still here. I was just choking. All right. Is there anybody out there that wants to give a position or tell us anything or ask anything? Please go ahead. Good morning, Frank. Yeah, another adventure. I'll see what David's got to say about that trip up the mountain tonight. What's it? Well, how many are there at the moment, Frank? Over? Okay, it's not too clear on the radio this morning. Don't know why, but hang on a minute.
Just keep shutting.
Oh, I don't know what he's been doing in the last 5 minutes.
I'm trying to get the microwave set.
Oh, he's trying to get the microwave satellite to see if the wind is going to blow things away up there. Yeah, I must admit it is good. Well, it's still spectacular if it's cloudy, but it's not so great if you're standing in the cloud because you don't get to see as much.
No, it's not too bad.
Every single person, by the way, folks, if you do go up that mountain, every single person needs a flashlight, a torch, because it's a pretty rubbly road. Well, not rubbly. When you actually get deposited at the top, you have to walk up to the top of the rim, and each and every one of you needs a flashlight to see where your feet are going. You don't want to fall over. So anyway, here's David.
The microwave satellite just picks up the edge of Tana, and the winds don't look bad at all. East, slightly north of east this morning when the satellite passed over. But looking at satellite imagery right now, Frank, it looks reasonable. There's scattered cloud coming and going. One of the cloud looks like upper cloud, and it's a combo of upper and lower cloud. That's this morning. By late today, when you go up there tonight, who knows what the clouds are going to do? But there is no trough that's there, so I think it'll be fine. You should have a pretty good look-see at the fireworks. Over.
Okay, let's have a look. Leaving tomorrow or Monday to go north. Are you going to stop at Erromango or go straight through to PB? Over. Okay. Yeah. While David's looking at that, he didn't go up the mountain.
Is this Monday?
Yeah. Look at Sunday or Monday. Yeah. Probably Monday because they'll be tired. Yeah, he made me wear. We have a couple of kayak helmets on board in case I have to go up the mast in the middle of the ocean, and he made me wear my kayak helmet. I tell you what, it wasn't actually all that stupid a suggestion, although I'd have to say I was the only one wearing a kayak helmet up the mountain. But there is, if it is very active, it can, in fact, there have been injuries from people being hit by falling rocks, and they can be quite substantial. I'm not too sure whether the kayak helmet would protect you if you did get a rather large hot rock. But anyway, he made me wear my kayak helmet, so I was certainly noticeable because it's a bright yellow colour. Back to the winds on your trip north.
Yeah, well, I've seen enough fireworks. So. Frank, it looks like Monday, northeast winds all the way up to Afate. I didn't hear where you were going.
I'm at Erromango.
Okay, just a short hop up there. Northeast, it should be okay. As you know, the islands are at a bit of a slant regarding the longitude line, so that shouldn't be too bad at all. It's fairly light air, I would say about 10 to 15 knots. I'm looking about lunchtime on Monday. So not bad, not strong winds at all. So you should be in pretty good shape. And people that do go up that volcano, oftentimes they get rain. Actual rain comes down, and of course all that hot air that's rising is making its own set of clouds, and therefore might be wise to bring your foul weather jackets because of that. Oftentimes that's the case. Over to you.
Oh, he's faded away at the end there. All right, is there anybody else that has any questions? Don't forget, we are going to have a much shortened weather today unless you specifically want something. Anybody else? Nothing heard, and over to David.
Okay, good morning. This is going to be an abbreviated view of the synoptic picture, and this is what we'll be doing on Saturday. So any details that you need, you phone in and we'll do that as well. On Monday through Friday will be the usual full, complete picture for you. And on this Monday, we certainly will do the same for sure. Now, our upper levels are pretty much as described yesterday. The 500 millibar closed low, that's the weather maker. That's got multiple areas of vorticity or spin. Now, for those of you that are looking at these charts, you'll notice, depending upon the origin of the chart, but typically you'll see colored areas, and the bright areas are where the maximum amount of spin in, and usually they put an X, the letter X, in the areas of maximum spin. And these are the areas of greatest rotation, and just to the east of all these X's on the surface is where we have convergence. So that means upflow, and that means clouds, and that means rain, and of course that's how your depressions get spawned. And that's how it works all the time. It starts off with the jet stream above that and gets translated down at 500 millibar. We meteorologists will look at the 500 millibar in essence to try to ascertain whether the models are tracking properly or not, and it gives us an idea of how severe things are on the surface. So what is happening on the surface? The upper ridge, this is at 500 millibar, and we discussed that yesterday, that continues to maintain our anticyclone, or phi. It's pretty strong. on these charts, if you add a 0 to the number, that's the height of 500 millibar in meters. So it's a 500 millibar chart. So every line that you see is the height of 500 millibar. And typically, relatively fast-moving short waves are these U's that go more or less from west to east. They could track differently, but that's the general trend. But occasionally they close off, meaning that the ISO heights form little circles, just like you would see on the surface of a depression, an old depression that's winding down. Well, that doesn't mean that the upper level problem is winding down. It just simply means that the air streams are not moving through the upper trough like they were when it was looking like a letter U. So everything is just spinning around up there. And the lows are usually, the surface lows are underneath it spinning. And typically these spinning upper troughs don't move very fast. And therefore the surface lows don't move very fast. And that's precisely where we are now. That's the situation that we've got. So this closed off low is located just off Sydney. The surface depression, by the way, is not very strong in central pressure. It's only about 1,003 millibar, 1003. But there are multiple areas of upper spin. There's a lot of X's on the charts. Now, they have created numerous fronts and troughs on the surface. So if you pick up the New Zealand surface analysis or the Prague, which I hope you're doing, you'll see this. You'll see, in fact, the entire Tasman is actually one giant mixing machine of cloud, rain, and squalls. Now, one of these fronts is already over New Zealand, came over last night actually, and the rest are heading this way. Now, this mess is barely moving east. And again, this is because the upper low closed off, very slow moving. And this is normal. So whenever you do spot these closed upper lows, then you know things on the surface are going to hang around for a while. Now on Monday, coming up 14th, I believe we'll see the surface depression still in the Tasman. Still hasn't got to New Zealand yet. However, the high that we just talked about is going to get a little bit stronger and probably intensified to about a 1032, 1032 millibar. And that's going to send reinforced trades to essentially bash Tonga and Fiji. We don't give advice here, but I don't believe yachts should really attempt to sail north on Sunday or Monday unless you have a vital need to test your rig and you like feeding in rough seas, because that's what you're going to have. So Monday we'll have a good look to check out the possible weather window that we talked about yesterday. It still looks like possibly Thursday the 17th so far. Now, it is a possibility, so don't count your chickens here. Now, much can change between now and Thursday, but please maintain your little chart that we talked about. So every day, again, take note of your waypoints and what the wind direction and speed are estimated to be, so you can tell if the models are maintaining what they think is going to happen. Now, if you see a lot of changes in the models day by day, then you don't really have a lot of faith in what's going to happen. But if they remain fairly consistent, I'm not saying that they have to be exactly the same every day, but as long as they're relatively close, then you can have a fairly good feeling about the accuracy of the model. So anyway, we'll review that on Monday. And essentially, that's what I've got for you. That's the situation. Those of you that are nearing the islands have got easterlies, and you'll get in just fine. Now, the question came in on the 17th that, in fact, if you do go to Fiji or Tonga, what about New Caledonia? And yes, New Caledonia would be included in this. Now, I should tell you that a few days after the 17th, right around the 20th, 19th, 20th, EC does pick up a little bit of a depression that's south of Fiji, and that is a worrisome look, but it's not going to track to New Zealand if it does form. If it does form, I think it will go to the southeast. So about the only thing that we'll manage to do is a bit of a swash between it and New Zealand. Other models are not picking it up. They're picking up basically polar dips in the isobars, meaning the isobars, instead of being linear east to west, are dipping down towards the pole, making a little bit of a push towards the pole. But anyhow, that's too far out to really tell what's going to happen there. Okay, so it does look like a possibility. So if you are primed and ready to go, that's good. But don't be too disappointed if it really doesn't look so hot. Now, after that, there's only really one model that goes out to 384 hours, and that's GFS. And they are looking at the possibility of another window. There's a big high that's building off of Australia. So if this next week doesn't look suitable, there is a chance that another week later that you can go. It's a big high. I don't like them because usually they have some type of event forming on the northwest corner of them. But oftentimes they split and make multiple highs that have a little bit less pressure, and it can wind up being a pretty good window. So too far out, but that's what it looks like at this point in time. So any questions come now, and any of you that are underway, if you want the last bit of wind forecast for your arrivals, give us a call. We're lucky here because we can get the latest runs because we have the internet, and you don't quite have that luxury. So come down.
Well, it's all very peaceful, so we're going to go back. Our usual Saturday morning after we've talked to you guys is to go back, get another cup of coffee and read the voluminous paper that comes on a Saturday and just generally relax. So that's what we're going to do today, and hope you guys are having a good weekend as well. We will be back on Monday, so we'll see what the weather does in between time for the outlook for the future. All right, if you need any more information about the Tonga situation, it's on the website www.ghradio.co.nz in Flotsam, and I have